As you can see, we're starting a new Money Talk series called Money Talk Think, where we will talk to thought leaders about big ideas on leadership, management, technology, and innovation. And we're kicking off the series with a look at one of Canada's legendary CEOs. Hunter Harrison was the charismatic four-time railway chief who led turnarounds at both Canadian Pacific and CN Rail and two more, and literally rewrote the book on railroading in, some would argue Canada, some would argue North America. Also, I have with me the man who chronicled the life and career of the hard-driving executive and turned it into a best-selling book, Railroader, the unfiltered genius and controversy of four-time CEO Hunter Harrison. Howard Green joins me in studio. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to see you.
Nice to see you too.
My old buddy.
I know, reunion from a previous life. I have to start, and I don't give idle flattery, but the level of detail in this book is so rich. It almost feels like you're there. You're kind of in there like a fly on the wall and everything that's happening. And what I loved about it too is it's the level of detail, not just him, but it's all the perspectives of some pretty influential people. So the access, I think, was pretty high on this book, wasn't it?
Thank you, Kim. That's very kind of you to say. It really was an exceptional project, a real privilege to be trusted to do this book. And with Hunter, I literally was a fly on the wall for much of the last year of his life. Even 10 days before he passed away. I spent 3 days with him in Florida. And so many other people that you allude to gave me their time to talk about all sides of Hunter, because there were many sides to Hunter, and there are polarized views of Hunter. So yes, he was an unbelievable railroader. Paul Tellier, who ran CN, said best railroader on the planet. People like Michael Sabia, those kinds of influential people that you talk about who worked with him. The other side of the coin, and I think this is probably the tension throughout the book, is the other view of Hunter, the flip side, how tough he was, the people he laid off, his methods and so forth. So there's a constant tension throughout the book, and I think the title illustrates that, the genius and controversy. Yeah. And I tried to deal with both.
It was funny because it reminded me of, I know that he had multiple, I think, horse farms you talk about, and
they're incredible.
Yeah, he lived well. It sounds like. I mean, it sounds like he rewarded himself for the hard work that he did, but it struck me that he was the thoroughbred. He was the thoroughbred, was almost getting bought and sold by companies to come in and do the work they did, but and it killed him. He worked to the end.
He did. He was put on medical leave 2 days before he died. I saw him on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of December of last year. He died on the 16th. He went into the hospital on the night of the 9th. And he didn't come out, and then on the 14th they put him on medical leave. It was a very difficult thing to watch a human being going through that kind of deterioration over the last year of his life, in particular the last few months. But I wish I had used that word, but why didn't I phone you? That was a perfect word.
That's because he was just so good at what he did, and like he was the asset that Bill Ackman, I don't want to say
That's
bought,
right.
but and it was placed to do the thing that he does.
That's right. They placed him on the property.
Yeah.
Even going back to Illinois Central, the people who ran the private equity group who brought him into Illinois Central, they had the idea to put him on the property in Montreal. They put him on the property at Illinois Central. He did the job. They did the deal to put him on the property at CN. He did the job. Ackman brought him in to put him on the property at CP. And then Halal, Ackman's former partner and friend, well, current friend as well, put him on the property at CSX.
You called him, I know, in part of this, the Steve Jobs of railroading.
Yeah. I read Isaacson's book in the last few months that I was with Hunter, actually. And I told him about it. And he said, something like, I'm trying to remember exactly the quote, it's in the book, but he said, a lot of people thought he, wasn't a very nice guy. But I remember him sitting on the sofa in his office in Florida, and he said, but he was a hell of a leader. And when you go through all of the adjectives with Jobs, relentless, uncompromising, and all of those things.
And not popular with a lot of people.
Not popular with a lot of people. Hunter shared a lot of those attributes. Now, Isaacson paints a picture of Jobs as a person who's not too nice to be around, or wasn't too nice to be around. Hunter was actually a lot of fun to be around. He was, as you said, charming. He was generous. He was funny. I mean, he could talk for hours.
There's a lot of salty language in here.
There's a lot of salty language.
A lot of quotes like, nope, can't say that, nope, can't say that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he was a storyteller like no other. He was larger than life. He was one of a kind, all of those things. And, you know, I said, you know, one thing that he and Jobs did not have in common was how they dealt with a newborn child when they were very young. Jobs abandoned the child. Hunter, as he would say, manned up. He was still pardon me, he was still a teenager.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was a big shift in his life. He realized he had to become a different person. He was a bad kid growing up in Memphis.
Yeah.
He had to become a different person.
Yeah, so it's his transformation throughout. I've only got a couple minutes, but I want to ask, did he give you any instruction? Because I read that you said that he only this is an unauthorized biography, but hurry up.
Yeah, he said, write fast.
Yeah. Did he know he was...
I think we had several discussions about mortality during the process, the interviewing process. Going back, I think probably, trying to remember now, certainly May of 2017. He died in December. Probably we had them earlier than that. You know, it was he had many, many medical issues. The biggest of which was probably the lung issue, which required supplemental oxygen for the last year or so of his life. But, you know, even on the 5th and 6th of December, I saw him speak to CSX railroaders doing Hunter camps there, like he did these preaching retreats where he'd teach them how to railroad, teach them how to be leaders. They're all sitting there in awe, talking to them for 6 hours while on oxygen. No notes. I mean, it was staggering, really, you know, the level of energy, the level of commitment that he had. What
do you think? You talk a bit about, you know, for him, I mean, you know, this is an amazing driver, and what, I mean, he created, you know, billions or maybe hundreds of millions, I'd say, of market capitalization for lots of companies and shareholders. What do you think he wanted from this? You know, I think, like most of us, he wanted to be understood. I think he felt somewhat misunderstood. There were a lot of scary headlines about Hunter. And, you know, he could be a scary guy. He could be an intimidating. You asked him if he was mean. I remember that. Yeah, I did. And he remembered that. I asked him that on that set down there back in 2012, I think, during the CP thing. And he remembered it. We talked about it in our very last conversation on December 6th of last year. And, you know, he was a very multifaceted, complicated guy, and we got to go because you're doing this to me. So I know the signals, but it's so great to see you, and thanks for having me. It was awesome, and I highly recommend. I just want people to see it again. Railroader: The Unfiltered Genius and Controversy of Four-Time CEO Hunter Harrison. Howard Green putting out his latest book, and we look forward to more. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us tonight. Any comments and questions on anything you have seen, or if you'd like someone to take a look at your portfolio, you have some planning questions, email me at moneytalk@td.com. I will get you in touch with someone who can answer those questions.